Wealthi Experts, where we are bringing on experts in their field to help us build effectively a wealthy life. Hello, hello, hello. This is Domenic Nesci, and today we are shooting the Wealthi Podcast with the infamous Andrew Debono, longtime friend, and soon to be, I'm sure, winner of one of these financial planning awards. Now, you've been nominated for like 10 or something.
Yeah,
congratulations.
It was four. It was myself and Christian as well, and the company picked up one as well. So really good achievements. Shows that we were on the right track and doing good things.
So we're talking to the right person for Wealthi Experts.
Definitely.
I've known Andrew for a long while. He is an expert financial planner. He works with lots and lots of different types of clients, anywhere from just starting out their career in starting to accumulate wealth, all the way up to people that have well and truly set themselves up with a nice small sum or fortune. And if there's someone to talk to about building a wealthy life, it is Andrew. So, mate, I really appreciate you jumping on the show today. Look, I want to just start off with a little bit of small talk and just kind of ask you the question, what are you seeing in the market at the moment? What's happening that's relevant in your business or that you're seeing out in this space right now that, that's something that's concerning you or an opportunity that you're seeing? What's kind of happening?
Yeah, I think we'll probably sort of answer that in a couple of parts. I think one part around the asset side of things, people are getting pretty excited and trigger happy when it comes to the property piece. So you're probably finding it as well, where a lot of people are coming through interested, looking at purchasing stuff and accumulating wealth, or even the own home discussion. We've had a lot of that from our end. A lot of our clients are like, all right, we've done our 2 investment properties. Maybe we should sell them now and let's look at buying the own home that we can live in and have a family with. So we've been seeing a lot of that. The other side of it is the job front. We have seen a lot of people who have struggled significantly with these COVID restrictions. So, owners of bars and restaurants and cafes and gyms, so they've struggled significantly. But then on the contrary, a lot of the guys that we've got that work in the tech space, so working at your Googles, your Amazons, your Afterpays and Zips, and they've been absolutely killing it. So it's an interesting world at the moment where you're seeing a lot of people taking advantage of the opportunities presented, and a lot of people suffering because of the restrictions and pauses that have been placed on this economy.
That is very interesting. You see the full gambit of people and businesses and what they're all doing. From what you're seeing in the market, what are some of your sort of key takeaways? Like, there's a lot of people that are out there listening, watching this, that are in either, a business that has been suffering or in a business that's absolutely thriving. What are your 2 pieces of, and I say advice very loosely because I'm talking to a financial planner, but what do you have to say to those different groups of people?
Yeah, look, I think it's an important time to not just sit on the fence and do nothing. The busier you are, the more active you are in this world, I think the better you will be over the long term. Sitting on the fence and not doing anything is probably the worst thing you can do right now. So definitely just keep your eyes open, your ears open, and listen to people and really be proactive. Whether it is investment, whether it's paying down debt, whether it's thinking about a different strategy with your business. I think it's very important that you do put that time into it, and you will get the results. It might not be straight away, but you'll get the results over some period of time.
So now's the time to be proactive, to have a look at what you've got and think about ways that you can make it better. I agree with you. I mean, now's the time that you can certainly fall into complacency or to say, shit, everything's too hard or there's too much going on. I want to take a back step. And it's an easy to be victim of circumstance, but I feel like at these times, this is the time to step forward. It is a time to either, forge new habits or, create a new business relationship or pay down debt, as you said. This for me is a time to sort of really get onto the front foot and do something.
Yeah, so, and even review the existing stuff that you've currently got. Like, it's worthwhile doing that. We looked at our sort of situation personally, and we looked at a property that we felt had started to sort of max out on what we thought it was probably worth, and we felt like it had run pretty hard. And we did have a pretty bad tenant experience. So we thought, maybe this is the right time for us to offload that one and then redistribute that that cash elsewhere.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, when you have things, now's the time to have a look at whether you're playing the same game as you were before.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
You and Sarah, married, maybe looking at children, all sorts of stuff. So now it's about making those life decisions too, right? And reevaluating what you got.
Yep. And planning for those things like the, drop down onto the one income and, future childcare costs as well, mate.
I hear. So I want to talk about wealth, speaking about future planning and your wife and kids and what happens in life. What is your definition of a wealthy life? How do you see that for you?
Most definitely, I think wealthy, it has to be the flexibility and the ability to have the choice to do whatever you want at any particular time. So I think wealthy, and I think in order for you to have that choice and in order for you to be wealthy, you have to have that good quality sort of free cash flow coming through, whether it's good consistent dividends and franking credits coming through, or whether it's good rental income coming through. I think that is probably the best definition of being wealthy. So it's not so much the asset base, but more so the income that you're deriving from that asset base, which gives you the flexibility and the ability to make those choices.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I agree. The nature of the income that you're receiving and how hard you have to work for it. And ultimately, the less effort you put in for that income, the free you are with your time, right? The different.
Yeah, exactly. And the more stable it is, I think, is just as important as well. Because you probably would have seen, a few people who, for example, might have a place in a very high density area, which might have performed exceptionally well in terms of asset value wise. Those sort of people might be struggling a little bit with their rental income because it's decreased significantly. So making sure you're aware of those, the benefits of having a good diversified portfolio, but also having assets that are in good locations, which do provide that consistent income and consistent growth. So I'd imagine you'd be seeing a lot of people like up the coast or down the coast, especially on the eastern seaboard, where the rental income is going really, really well. Because people are moving outside of Sydney and moving to different places just to try it out, or even if it's for a short term, and they'll be paying a bit of a premium.
And then conversely, at some point the borders will open up, students will come back, migrants will come back, and so will tourism. And all those high density places, you'll see a huge increase in that rental income. So I agree, having that diversity in your income, whether it's the types of property, the types of shares that you own, businesses, whatever it is.
Yeah, of course. Exactly.
And whilst we're chatting about that, I mean, you've been in financial planning for quite a while now. What would you say is your 1% wealth hack? What's the one little thing that people can go take away or do today that will help them live a wealthier life?
I think one of the biggest things, and something that we probably don't talk about enough, or people aren't comfortable enough, but I think the 1% hack would have to be leveraging. So that is borrowing money to invest, whether it's investing in property, whether it's investing in shares, whether it's investing in managed funds. I think that would have to be the biggest hack that I would suggest people to start to think about. If we look at the previous generations, they were brought up in environments where they could leave money in the bank and they were earning their 12, 13, 14% interest year on year. Yep. We're in a place where you leave your money in the bank and you're going to get 0.35% per annum. So with that,
you're going to pay tax on it.
And you pay tax on that as well. So the real return is like negative, right? Because then you include your inflation. So we're in a position where we actually have to, or we're in a world where we have to try and leverage what assets we actually have to try and keep up with that pace and keep up with returns that previous generations have experienced. So the biggest hack would have to be leverage and actually do that in a way that's manageable. Obviously, don't go all out buying different businesses and cafes and borrowing heaps of it for those purchases, but leverage really well and have that core sort of satellite approach so that your good quality stuff and then those riskier stuff, which might perform well or might not perform too well, but you're not too phased by it.
I really, really like that. I mean, for me, buying high quality assets and using leverage in a very safe and efficient way where the income is stable, it pays for your expenses, it feels like a very sensible way for you to be investing. a lot of clients and people are scared of debt. It feels like fire. I don't want to get burnt by it. But they forget that with fire, that's how you can cook a good meal and you can keep yourself warm. So, I agree. I think that, and one thing that you said that people don't really pay attention to or know is you can get debt to go and buy managed funds, or you can go buy shares as well. I mean, the leverage is different to property, but using leverage efficiently, safely is a very, very good piece of advice. So thanks for that 1%.
And even using like the equity in the property to do that as well. Like a lot of people have had their assets, if they've had property for a couple of years, they would have seen that increase. And if you entered with that 20% deposit, you would have seen that asset increase more. So that means you've built that equity. So don't just let it sit there and use it. Use it in either buying another property or doing those shares or managed funds.
And I know that you read lots of books, watch TV shows and seminars and all sorts of stuff. What is the what's one thing that you've seen, heard, experienced recently that left a mark on you, and kind of why? Whether it's a conversation with a friend or a quote that you've seen or a bloody Instagram post or something. What's something that you've seen that's really inspired you that you could leave with people?
Yeah, good question. I think there's a couple of things. I think one thing which really has hit home recently with all the COVID news, and it's not something that we want to focus on in this conversation. But one thing which I never really took into account and never really paid too much attention to, was that in a lot of instances, when there is significant adversity in the world or in society, we're pretty fortunate that the taxes that we do pay will come back to us when we have those challenging periods of time. And I have to, pretty much commend what's happening with like the, all the cash flow boosts, all the different incentives that the governments are helping to try and keep businesses afloat. And I know a lot of people might not think that is enough, but it is something, and it is showing that the governments and also banks, by allowing people to pause their loans, do have I guess that good side to them that they can help you out. So I think it's it's a pretty good thing to know that if you are going to be taking these risks, purchasing property and leveraging and even starting businesses, there is always, in a really bad situation, there's going to be a bit of a backup plan or there's someone there to help you out. So that's something that I've taken away recently that I feel is something that I've never really taken into account with anything I've ever done. So there's always been another layer of backup plans. Yeah.
That's a really good way. It's a nice appreciation, because it's easier to throw shit at everything around you and say, government's not paying enough, or the government's paying too much, or I don't like this, or I don't like that, but I pay too much tax and all these things. It's easy to complain, but all you need to do is look at the world around us and realize that the government has stepped in and there is a safety net. The system is there to protect us, and they're doing the best that they know how. Whether you agree with 100% or not, maybe take the wins is what I'm hearing out of you. If it's 70%, 80% there, that's good.
Well, let's focus on the positive stuff, right? Like, a lot of it's been focused on the negative, and I know a lot of that's been created by the media, but look, there is positives in it. And I think it's good to know that, there is a backup plan for people that are taking that extra bit of risk, whether in small business. If you're in small business, you're in a business, I'm in business. Every time you step in the doors, there's an extra bit of risk that you're taking just because you're in business. But at least you've got a backup plan that you can rely on people to help out in those times of uncertainty. Yeah.
So, talking about help on this show, Wealthi Experts, what I like to do is ask our guests, what's one way that you can help our network? All the people that are watching, all the people that are going to come on the show, what's the one thing that you do in your business and you personally that you can do to help the people in our network that are watching? And what's your area of expertise, and what are you passionate about that you'd like to go and sort of extend the hand?
Yeah, and I think I'll sort of answer this question with what, some of the things that we've been talking to our clients about recently. Now, as I mentioned before, we have had that ability to use your equity and actually utilize that equity and invest that in other vehicles or other properties. So I think it's important to note that people should definitely be aware of where everything is up to in their personal circumstances. I know it can be pretty difficult, especially in Sydney at the moment, where we're not too sure what day of the week it is. And you might forget and sort of get into that routine where you forget of where things are up to, but definitely be aware of where all your assets and all your financial world is up to, and be aware of the opportunities that they can present themselves right now. So where we can sort of come in is actually have a complete look, holistic view of your circumstances, and actually assist you in developing a bit of a plan, developing a bit of a strategy, which can help take you guys or take clients to the next level. And that level might be achieving a goal or lifelong goal that they've always wanted to do. I had a client the other day, actually today, just sent me a message and said, Andrew, I just ticked off one of my goals, just bought a dental practice. So great thing, it's not the right time. He goes, it's probably not the best time to be doing it. And, my reply instantaneously was, it's never a perfect time, right? There never is a perfect time. There's always something that's out there to try and make your decision worse or make your decision not be 100% perfect. So where we can sort of come in is just making sure that if you've got the ability to do those sort of things and make those investments, let's take advantage of it and let's look into it. But let's also make sure you've got the right structures in place for it. So if something does go wrong and let's say someone did get sick, hurt or injured, there is that backup plan that you can fall back on. It's kind of how what I mentioned before, that we should be pretty happy that the governments and banks have given us a backup plan. It's clients and individuals should also think about their own backup plan. What's that backup plan going to look like?
That's great. I mean, I think that's a really way to help, a good way to help people to bounce what you're doing off a financial expert, to look at all your financial instruments, your superannuation, your house, your income, and see where does it all lay, what's it doing, and what's the ways that we can protect all these assets, because shit happens. We can see it all around us, and how do we protect ourselves? That's a really good way to help people. Now, what's the one way that our guests, our network, the wealthy experts and people listening and watching can help you, whether it's building your websites or fixing your car, or, what is it? What's the one thing that you're working on at the moment, or a challenge that you got inside your business, something that's happening in your world that you'd like a hand with?
I think our part at the moment is probably in my space. You see, you're talking about myself and business personally.
Your business, what your
I think we're going through a good little challenging period where resources are getting stretched a little bit. I'm finding myself, and so is some of the other staff members in the team, finding themselves working longer hours, more days a week. So we're probably at that point where we do need to bring another resource on to help us all out and make sure we're not going to burn ourselves out. So a challenging part for us would be, all right, what's that point that we definitely do it? What's the amount of time we give them? What's the salary we pay them? Which is the strategy we go down? Do we look at getting another advisor, or do we look at getting an admin staff member? So that's probably a challenging point that we're finding in our business at the moment. We're pretty fortunate that work's still flowing through, but we just need to make sure we're managing it right and keep up our extremely good customer service skills.
So just so I'm clear, and the people are out there are clear, is it if there's maybe a business expert out there that wants to chat to you, or maybe someone that's in financial services, whether they're a financial planner or back office, people in this financial services space should reach out, say, hey, introduce themselves and say, I heard you're on Wealthi Experts, you want a hand inside your business. These are the things that I could do.
Definitely, or even potential recruiters, or even people looking for spice things up a little bit in their career as well.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there trying to change the workspace, or what they're trying to do, or want to join your team. You're an award-winning business. You're a great guy, and I know some of the people in your team. We've worked together for many years. I can vouch for Andrew and Christian and everybody else over there. So where does everybody find you?
Yep. So a couple of ways. Have a look at our website, www.peakwm.com.au. Jump on LinkedIn. You'll see us on LinkedIn and all the socials. So Peak Wealth Management, Instagram page, Facebook page, LinkedIn page. They're probably the best methods, and a couple of contact forms on there, or you've got our direct personal numbers that you just give us a call, and we'll happily take it.
Awesome. Andrew, thank you so much for today, mate. It's always good having a chat. Good luck with all your future endeavors. I know that you're doing some personal investments that all sound very exciting. Hopefully, once all this lockdown's done, I get to catch it for Nelson Bay Pad and we can do some fishing or something together.
Yeah. What is it? Shoal Bay Country Club.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We'll put a drink over there.
Happy days.
For all of you out there, I hope you enjoyed it. You've got ways that you can reach out to Andrew and the team. If you have any questions for myself or Andrew, leave them in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Hope to see you all soon. Catch you later.
Easy. See you, Dom.